in the next part of our subdivision design, we're going to take the road line work that we have already created and we're going to add on our parcels based on City of Calgary specifications. So we're going to go and subdivide these two little areas here, create some lots, maybe 10 to 15, maybe 20 of them, depending on the size, following the land use bylaw based on the City of Calgary. First thing I'm going to do is freeze off my existing ground and my points, which happen to be on the layer I'm currently on, so I'm just going to switch those to C-serve, and then I'll be able to freeze them off. And I'm going to start getting my subdivision here ready to be subdivided. Now, the way subdivision works is we take a larger area, so we're going to take this area right here, and we're going to break it down into smaller chunks. Overall, you'll have a large subdivision. You'll break it into smaller and smaller pieces, eventually until we get to the lots themselves. So I'm going to make sure I don't have any additional lines in here that are going to cause problems. I have a couple overlapping here, and then I should just have my remaining ones here. So I'm going to run the command bpoly so I can create a closed polyline. I'm going to pick points, so I want to subdivide this area, and then I want to subdivide this area. And as they are both completely closed areas, this command lets me finish it. If you get an error that's saying it could not close, it could not find a valid boundary, just zoom into everywhere there would be an intersection and make sure it's closed. Make sure there's no gaps there in the existing line work, so you can bpoly it. Alternatively, you could trace this with a plain old polyline if you wanted to. However, bounded poly works way better in my opinion. So we have our two closed polylines here. We're going to take these and create what's called a parcel out of them. So under the parcels dropdown, I want to create a parcel from objects. And again, this is the easiest way I found to do this. You could go by layout, but controlling as much as you can, in my opinion, is better. Now, parcels do rely heavily on sites, and this is where problems start to get introduced into Civil 3D, where you have objects on the same site, different elevations, etc. They can start interacting with each other and causing problems. So I'm going to make an entirely new site, and I'm going to call this my parcels -lots. So I don't inadvertently put anything else on this site. I'm going to hit OK, and I've got a few styles already set up, so I'm going to use the lot style. It's going to place them on a layer. There's C-parsegment as the layer. And all I want right now is my area label. And I guess it's going to label, we'll turn that off so it doesn't label segment labels. I find adding segment labels at the very end, when you have all your parcels done and sized, is the better way to go. And then I'm going to deselect erase existing entities, because going back and forth from parcels, we might make a mistake. We might end up deleting them. Just leave these around for now to have access to later. So I'll click OK, and we'll see it's made two lots right now. So lot 1 being an area of 7,894 square meters, lot 2 being an area of 3,664 square meters. So these are the two big lots that we need to subdivide. However, we need to go to the City of Calgary design guidelines, actually the land use bylaw, to find the minimum sizes, what we can do, what we cannot do, etc. So the website's just lub.calgary.ca, and I'm in Part 5, Low Density Residential, Division 6, just an R1, R1S lot. So scrolling through this, it gives us our uses for the lots. We're not going to worry about that. What we do want to look at is parcel width, parcel depth, parcel area. And again, if you want to go parcel coverage, if you want to start thinking about house sizes, we could do that. However, minimum parcel width is 10 meters. Minimum parcel depth is 22 meters. So we could be 10 meters wide by 22 meters long, but the minimum area has to be 330 square meters. So this is where your depth, how far you've originally designed, comes into play. I believe one of mine was 34 and the other one is probably close to the same. So we can get away with the 10 meters wide by 33 meters deep, which will give us 330 square meters. Most of these will probably be bigger than the 330 square meters or right at it. But again, it all depends on what you're designing, what area of town. We can measure some distances here and find out that my original line work is 33.4 meters there, 33.585 meters there, and I believe this one was the 34 meters exactly, yes. So now that we know these numbers, and I've already got them built into my Civil 3D, however, if you go under your settings, you go under parcels, you go under the commands, there is a create parcel by layout, and if we edit those command settings, there are default sizes, parcel sizing sizes. So it is much easier to come into here, set these up for what you need. So minimum area, 330 square meters. My minimum frontage, I know it's 10, I'm gonna make it 11 though. Just to give the lots a little bit more space because 10 meters is not that large for a house. Use minimum frontage at offset, yes. So we usually gauge minimum frontage a meter or 2 meters back, 2.5 meters back based on what the city specs are. Frontage offset, this comes more into play at a the cul-de-sac or a knuckle. So 6 meters back from the knuckle, we need to be 11 meters wide. And again, that's just from the city. Minimum width, 11 meters. Minimum depth, 20 meters. And that should actually be 22. So 11, there's the 10 by 22. Use maximum depth. I'm going to switch that to no. So it doesn't use that. Then I'm just going to hit OK. So this will set it up so you do not have to constantly change these settings every time you come into the command. Now the next step here is I'm going to come under parcels. I want to create parcels by layout now, which will bring up my parcel layout tools. If we go through the commands, we can create a parcel. We can add a fixed line, 2 points, so we can manually sketch our lines if we wanted to. We can manually sketch curves. Draw tangent, tangent with no curves. These are the automatic tools. These are the ones we'll be using. We can delete subentities. We can join parcels, dissolve parcels, etc. Select entities, edit entities, and then on this little hidey arrow over on the side, these are where all the numbers are saved. So if you did not set those up in this command over here, you would have to come into this every single time you restarted the command, and we will end up restarting this quite a few times and set up all your numbers. This just makes it easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is click the drop down arrow right here. I'm going to slide line create. Again, you can freeform create, swing line, etc. Just I found more success with the slide line for this. I want them on the site parcel lots. I want them my lot style. Put them on layers. Show me the area, but that's about it right now. And I'm going to hit OK. Civil 3D asks me what parcel you want to be subdivided. I'm going to start with my one on the right because arguably it is the easier one of these two. Then Civil 3D asks me the start point on the frontage. Now the way you can think of frontage is what part of the lot is touching the road. Now we have two options here. We can start up here, we can go south, or we can start down here and go north. Regardless, this last parcel will be a funny shape unless we decide to match the angle of this line and have all these lots angled and be left with a weird shaped lot down here. Now, usually corner parcels are larger just due to this nature that we don't have an even number. We don't have, say, 66 meters here to put 6 lots in exactly. So I'm going to start, and again, there is no really right or wrong answer here. It's all up to the designer. I'm going to start. Ooh, I selected the wrong lot, so we'll just exit that. Sorry. I'm going to slide line create. I want to subdivide this. I want to draw from here. I'm going to go from here to here. Now, Civil 3D either asks us to specify an angle, bearing azimuth. However, if we just hit enter, it's going to put them in at 90 degrees. Now, I don't necessarily want to do this because yes, this is 11 meters here, but it does create a weird shaped lot. We could give this guy extra space, but I'm going to hit no. I want to type in, I believe it's an azimuth, based on an angle. So I want them to go at kind of this angle here, but we need to know the angle of that line first. So I'll hit escape for now, and I'll end up hitting escape again. Under the parcels, I want to add parcel labels, just a single segment on this line here. So we see that this line is 34 meters, 275 degrees, 55 minutes, 40 seconds. So now I can come back into parcels, create by layout. Go back into my slide line create. Again, all this has to be set up again. We'll hit OK. I want to design from here to here. And I'm going to type in my azimuth of 275 degrees, 55 minutes, 40 seconds. So if we look at my command line, 275D, that's for degrees, 55, 40 with the quotation marks. And then I'm going to hit enter, and Civil 3D will draw that in. So if I am happy with this result, do I accept it? I'll hit enter. And again, you can hit enter a whole bunch of times in a row. However, do it a little bit slower so we can see what Civil 3D is doing. It gives you a highlighted view of what it's actually creating. And then we can go and continually hit enter. So we get to the last one here, and it now tells me the distance is less than the minimum frontage. I'm going to hit OK. However, we could turn this into a little green area with trees. We could place a little park with a playground here. We could delete this and make a larger green area. Again, parks in subdivisions increase lot values. I'll just quickly delete that label. And we see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lots here, all the exact same size. So I'm going to leave it like this. I'm happy with this. Again, if you decide to go this way up, turn that last one into a weird shaped lot, maybe you could fit another lot. However, for this exercise, this is what I'm going to do. And I had forgotten to change the text sizes of these. So if that happens, just go into properties and we can change the label. So I want parcel area. We could do parcel names, etc. But that's what I'm just going to quickly change them. Let's move on to this section over here. Now, when you're doing a cul-de-sac, it does get a little bit tricky. We're going to need some angles down here for these two lines. And don't always assume that everything is exactly 0 degrees, because these are not. They're 89, 58, 02. It's almost 90 degrees, but not. So just, again, confirm, be careful. So I'm going to start under my parcels, create parcel by layout. And these two lots down here, I want to make slightly larger just due to the fact that they have their corner cutouts. So I'm going to do my minimum frontage. We'll do 12 for this first one and minimum width of 12. And then I want to slide line create. Change that to 2.5. We'll hit OK. And I want to subdivide this lot here. I'm going to start from the bottom of the corner cutout, and I'm going to go halfway up. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to switch these back to 11 and continue hitting enter until I get to this location here. So the first few lots, it will do based off being perpendicular to this line. However, now that I've gotten to this area as being perpendicular from the edge of the road, do I want to accept this result? No, I do not. I want to type in an azimuth of 89 degrees, 58 minutes, 02 seconds, which will now place this in. I'm going to hit enter once and accept lot 15 there. And knowing cul-de-sacs, I'll probably hit enter again to accept lot 16. And this is 330 square meters. However, because it is weird shaped, I don't think we want to keep that. It gives us less size than the rest of these lots. It is absolutely minimums. I cannot, however, go and move this because then it starts angling. So I'm going to delete that one and come back up to parcels, create parcel by layout. And again, see how often we're in and out of this dialog box. I want to change this. Maybe we'll go 13 for this one, a width of 13. And I want to slide line create. Make sure that says 2.5 again. Subdivide this lot, starting here, up around the corner. Specify an azimuth of 89 degrees. And I believe it was 58 minutes, 02 seconds. And I'll just confirm that. 89:58:02. And I'm going to hit enter. That's a little bit better. I'm not going to continue the next one because we're going to create pie-shaped lots up here. I'm going to go do the other side now. So we'll do the exact same. Again, if they're not the same left and right, it doesn't matter. It's just, this just makes it easier. Slide line create. I'm going to go from here up around the corner. My first one I want 12 meters wide. Then I'm going to switch these remaining ones to 11 and 11. Enter, enter, enter. Accept the result, no. And this is 89 degrees, 58 minutes, 02 seconds. Oh, sorry, that one is not 89 degrees. It is the opposite, it's minus 89. So azimuth of minus 89 degrees, 58 minutes, 02 seconds. And it is not. Okay. So now we actually need to know what this angle is. So I'm going to hit escape. This label down here, I'm going to reverse label. Reverse label bearing, I believe, is the command. Nope, label reverse bearing. I'm going to select that label, hit enter, and find out that this is 269:58:02. So that's the number we have to type in. Back under parcels, create by layout. I was okay with 11 meters wide. Slide line. 2.5. From here up to there. Enter an azimuth of 269 degrees, 58 minutes, 02 seconds. I'll do that one. Then I'm going to change this to the 13 to match just what's on the right and hit enter. Now I'm going to hit escape once just so I can start designing in this next set here. Now before we go and start designing these, I'm going to pop over to Google Earth just to show and explain what happens around the end of a cul-de-sac. So this is in Calgary itself, and if we look over here, we have a cul-de-sac here and a knuckle here. Now, at the end of a cul-de-sac, if we measure the distance, I'm just going to measure it in meters from, we'll say this guy's property is approximately there to approximately there. We see that this is only about 7.2 meters, where the minimum width that we had placed in was 11. If we come over here and measure the width here to about here, this is 13 to 14 meters. Now, depending on what kind of house is on it, what the developer wants, location in the city, etc., these will be wider or skinnier. However, 13.9, 14 meters is double 7 meters. That is because at the end of a cul-de-sac, we have what's called a pie-shaped lot. So if I try and approximately trace, say, this house here, we see that this lot is 710 square meters, where our normal lot is 330. If I trace this guy's lot over here, we will see that his is probably quite a bit less than 330. This one is actually 530. So corner-shaped lots, end of cul-de-sacs, we make them skinnier in the front. We set the house back a little bit farther because they do get a bigger backyard. So the minimum frontage within the city of Calgary, we're going to say we'll use 6 meters. And we still want to meet the other minimums, except the minimum depth. Some of these might, in fact, they're probably all at least 22. So we'll just leave that minimum depth. But my minimum width, I am going to change to 6 meters to be the front. Now, we can find out how many lots we can fit in here to make our lives a little bit easier. So under the parcels dropdown, add parcel labels, we want a single segment. This is 48 meters here. So at 6 meters wide, we could fit probably 8 lots in here, being 6 meters wide each. So we can go and do that and just see what it looks like. So under parcels, create by layout. And again, I have to change my minimum width back to 6. I want to slide line create. Parcels area. I want to subdivide this. And I'm going to go from here. And we'll just do it to the other side to see what it looks like. We want to keep these perpendicular as well. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots in here. And the reason that we couldn't fit the entire 8 is, I'm going to guess, because of that, the width that needs to be, we need to hold a minimum width of the 11 with the 6 meters back. So let's just start labeling these and see how wide these actually are. So that's 8 meters, that's 7 meters, 7, 7, and 9. Civil 3D did tell me that this one was not 11 meters wide, 6 meters away from the property line, but we actually only need to match 10. So again, when you do these, try and also picture a house being built on here. Can we build a house that's, say, 8 meters wide by, we'll go 15 meters long, just for an approximate area? And how it would fit on that lot. And will it fit on these other lots? That's kind of how we're going to gauge to see if this works. Can we place a decent sized house on this lot? Would it be at least 8 meters wide? Yes, that one will be. So again, that's looking at creating parcels within a subdivision, just a very general way. We can edit them through the parcels. Create parcel by layout. There's some editing buttons in here. However, in my opinion, when you're working with parcels especially, it's easier to, and probably safer, just to delete them and start again, because they are feature lines. They do tend to cause issues if they interfere with something else. Definitely do not move these. Do not copy. Do not explode. Parcels are one of the quickest things to corrupt, and I've had them corrupt before, seemingly doing nothing. There are ways that we can clean these up. There's commands to get rid of 0 parcels, hidden parcels, etc. A quick Google search will help you with that. Anyways, this is creating parcels, just 20 of them here in a simple subdivision. The last thing we'll do is just change the numbering. So under parcels, we want to add a parcel, renumber, rename. In this site, I want to start at 1, increment at 1. And I'm just going to trace over the way I want the numbering to go. Hit enter twice, and we have lot 1 all the way to 9, over to 10, all the way to 27. So that's creating parcels. In the next video, we'll look at creating the corridor-based road surface.